الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters, this is lesson number 2 of our commentary on the morals and meanings of Risalah, Risalah ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, which is the last chapters of Risalah ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani that speak about the morals and meanings of Islam. As I told you that this is known in the Maliki books that they write a chapter or the last chapter of their books about morals and meanings and stuff like that. That are several things that are you can find them inside the book, but spread inside the book. So they just contact them and compile them with each other and start giving you all these things in a way that can because actually the fiqh books are normally speak about jurisprudence, but these are morals actually. So they compile them with each other, and you can find a lot of things interesting there. So the one that studies jurisprudence, in the beginning he studies his creed, and in the end he has the morals and meanings. And this is very important because it's not good to have knowledge but without any morals and meanings. That's not good. And this is the main problem that we have nowadays. So here, actually, I'm going to start with the first chapter that we're actually. The Imam Malik, rahimahullah, is the first one who did this in his Muwatta. He's the first one who wrote a book that compiles all of the books all things that are that you might not find if you need inside the book. So here, chapter, a group of ordinance, obligatory, tradition, and desires. باب جمل من الفرائض والسنن الواجبة والرغائب. This chapter, he speaks about several things that are considered as virtuous, recommended things inside the whole fiqh. You know, we studied actually a lot of books in Ibn Abdul Bar Academy. We studied Al-Waghlisiya, we studied Ibn Ashir, we studied even قواعد القاضي عياض رحمه الله. We studied what else? So we studied الأخضري, مختصر الأخضري. We studied العشماوية, several books. And in these books, normally they usually start with the obligatory actions, and then the recommend, and then the virtuous in everything. In ablution, in washing the whole body, ghusl, in prayer, in fasting, and all these things. Imam Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani didn't write his book in this way. He wrote it in another way. In his book, if you study the whole book, you're going to discover that he goes passing over the whole prayer as if he's teaching you how to pray. In general, you start with so and so, and then you end with so and so, and you do so and so, and the same thing he did in all of his chapters. So he didn't write it in the way that you can find the latest books write. So therefore, he needed to show us what are the virtues, what are the obligatory actions, what are the recommended actions, so that you know. Because scholars said that if somebody prays or worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he doesn't know what is recommended, what is obligatory, etc., his prayer would be accepted in case if he considers everything obligatory. But if he considers everything as virtuous or as recommended actions, therefore that's a problem because that means he considers things that are obligatory as only uh, recommended actions, and that nullifies the prayer. So anyway, more normally people when they pray, they don't ask about that. They just say we pray because that's what God Almighty asks us to do, and then they don't know details. They might think many times laymen think that a lot of actions are obligatory, or actually they're not obligatory. So when you study, studying helps you to know how is everything. Let me just read now a paragraph after a paragraph and then give my commentaries on it. To know that there are, just to put in your mind, there are lots of commentaries on Risalah ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani. I told you that every year there's a commentary until today. One of the most interesting books or commentaries are the commentary of Sheikh al-Mukhtar ibn Arabi Mu'min, the Algerian scholar that studied in Shangiit in Mauritania. He's a very noble scholar, and he called his book Al-Manahil al-Zulala fi Sharh wa Adillat al-Risalah. This book, it's in 4 volumes. In 4 volumes. This is the last volume. And he went so deep commenting on it. Maybe it's half of this volume on this last chapter. And he went summarizing it and called it Masalik al-Jalala or something like that in 3 volumes. There isn't a big difference, but the volumes are smaller than these volumes. And there are lots of other scholars who wrote commentaries on Imam Risalah al-Imam ibn Abi Zayd. The first one that was written by Imam al-Qadi Abdul Wahhab ibn Nasr al-Baghdadi, the great scholar of Baghdad. And he wrote a very interesting commentary. Maybe it's the best commentary that was written on Risalah ibn Abi Zayd. We have another big commentary. It's very big, actually, 8 volumes. It's by Al-Qalshani, Tahrir al-Maqala, Sharh al-Risalah. It's in 8 volumes. It was just published. He's a Tunisian old scholar, maybe from the 9th Hijri century, full of knowledge. And then there are lots of other commentaries. From the famous ones are Al-Fawakih al-Dawani by Imam Ahmad ibn Ghunaym al-Nafrawi from Egypt, from the 12th Hijri century. And you have Al-Thamar al-Dani fi Sharh Risalah ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani by Sheikh Salih ibn Abd al-Sami' al-Abi al-Azhari, who passed the last century. And he has very easy commentaries on all of the Maliki books that were studied in that era. And even he has commentaries on Arabic books that were studied in that era. He has very interesting, easy books to study. This book is in 1 volume, 1 big volume, and it's published several times, and it has a lot of editions. But the best thing in the commentary of Sheikh al-Mukhtar ibn Arabi Mu'min is that it's full of evidence and poems, and it has a lot of interesting additions that you can take from it. So actually it's very important and interesting. And Sheikh al-Mukhtar ibn Arabi Mu'min has other commentaries. He has a commentary on Al-Akhdari, he has a commentary on Ibn Ashir, and his commentaries are very interesting because he is an Athari scholar that focuses on mentioning the evidence and stuff like that, the authentic evidence and stuff like that. There's another one written only a few years ago called Al-Ujala bi Sharh al-Risalah. It's in 5 volumes by Sheikh Al-Abidin ibn Hanafiya, the Algerian scholar. Okay, both of these scholars, I met them. I met Sheikh Al-Mukhtar several times, but Sheikh Al-Abidin, I met him only one time. And he's a very humble scholar from Algeria. He has very interesting books, and his commentary on the Risalah is full of knowledge by mentioning the evidence and stuff like that. So therefore, let us read this introduction and then comments on it. I just mentioned these commentaries so that if any one of you wants to go in details and search for a book to see or to study this text, he can find these books. All of them are available. You can find them. There's another easy commentary by Sheikh Ahmad Zarruq, rahimahullah. It's well known and a lot of scholars refer to it. And you know, Ahmad Zarruq is a great Sufi that was strict following the Sunnah. That's why they call him Muhtasib al-Fuqaha al-Sufiyya. That means he used to to condemn all actions that are against the Sunnah. So that's why he was a respected scholar, and his commentary, although it's very simple and summarized, but it's beneficial. There is another one very important by Al-Imam Ibn Naji. Ibn Naji was a Tunisian scholar. He was from the students of Imam Ibn Arafah, if I don't forget. He's a student of Imam Ibn Arafah. Imam Ibn Arafah is one of the great Maliki scholars in the 8th century. So therefore, it's it's one of the commentaries that are beneficial, and a lot of scholars go back to this and refer to it because he commented in a very beneficial way. These are the main, actually. There are commentaries written by Moroccan scholars, and some of them were published recently, but old Moroccan scholars, like the commentary of Ibn Abdullah ibn Umar al-Anfasi. It's published in 4 volumes. And you have other commentaries by, I think, Sheikh Gassous, Muhammad ibn Qasim Gassous, but I didn't see it published in a new poem. I saw only the introduction, which is Sharh Tawheed al-Risalah, his commentary on the Creed introduction. He commented on it's published in 2 volumes, and it's an Ash'ari creed. He commented on it in an Ash'ari way, So anyway, let us see what he says here. He says in Arabic, الوضوء للصلاة فريضة وهو مشتق من الوضاء إلا المضمضة والاستنشاق ومسح الأذنين منه فإن ذلك سنة والسواك مستحب مرغب فيه والمسح على الخفين رخصة وتخفيف والغسل من الجنابة ودم الحيض والنفاس فريضة وغسل الجمعة سنة وغسل العيدين مستحب والغسل على من أسلم فريضة لأنه جنب وغسل الميت سنة. So he says the ablution for the prayer is an ordinance, and it is derived of the ablution. No, that's wrong. This commentary actually, what am I going to tell you? These translations in English sometimes are funny, because it says, and it is derived of the word wada'a. Wada'a doesn't mean ablution. Wada'a means briding. Wadi means briding, handsome. He's briding, he's handsome. So when you make wudu, you become clean and briding and handsome. So it is derived from that word. And in Arabic, it's not like in English. Now, for example, in Arabic, you have a root of a word, and from that root, you have all things that are referred to it in like English. Unlike English. English is gathered from a lot of languages, from Latin, from from German, from a lot of languages. So it doesn't have one root for every word. Let me give you an example. The word, the root kataba in Arabic, kataba. Kataba means compile. The word kataba means compile. Or the originally thing is anything that has to do with compiling. So when you have kitab, you compile the pages. You have katiba, which means it's a part of the army. You compile people in it. You have kataba, writing. That means you have writing means you compile the letters. So all this, and now from that is referred, maktaba means library, because it's all full of books. You compile books inside it, etc. Now in English, you have the word compile means jama. Jama. Okay. Now you have the word kataba as write. Doesn't have anything to do with it. You have the word book. Book doesn't have anything to do with kataba, with writing. Now you have the word library, means the place where you have books in it. That doesn't have anything to do with book, unless you say bookstore, but bookstore is not a library. So you see, that is different from Arabic, because Arabic is an old language that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose it for his holy book, because it's very, very rich. It's very, very rich of words and very rich in inventing new things. Now, for example, the car. The car in the ancient days, we didn't have any car, actually. The car is just made since maybe 150 years ago. So what is the car name, actually? The car's name in Arabic is sayyara. We derived it from sayr. Sayr means going. You see? So now the airplane, you call it tayyara or ta'ira because it flies. It's from the word tara, means fly. So that's actually because Arabic is very rich. And what is similar to it in a way or another, it's Hebrew. It's Hebrew because both of them are Semitic languages. They have one branch. But Hebrew, it's not improved like Arabic. Arabic, it's the most improved Semitic language. And that's why nowadays Hebrew always borrows from Arabic, because it's the most closest live Semitic language that is close and similar to Hebrew. That's another story. So here when it says وَهُوَ مُشْتَقٌ مِنَ الْوَضَاءَ, that means it's derived from the word briding. Wudu, wada'a. Okay, so that's if you have this English copy of Dar al-Fikr, just take care of it. Corrected and revised by Mahmoud Matraji. I have another translation. I might compare between these two translations to see what is better in this translating. Anyway, he says here, but the rinsing of the mouth and the sniffing of the nose and the wiping of the ears of it, which is a tradition. Oh, to translate it to tradition, this is not proper to say it's sunnah. That means it's recommended. That's the word to say. So here, he means it's recommended, not tradition. Actually, if I start following this translation, I'm gonna forget about the lecture. So I'm gonna translate it in my way. So he says here, siwak, which is the toothbrush, and you can use. I'm going to speak about that. It's it's a virtuous and it's recommended as well. And wiping on the cloth socks, not the cloth socks, wiping on the leather socks is it's something to ease. It's something to ease religion and make things easy for people. Washing from major impurity and from menstruation blood and from afterbirth blood, it's obligatory. And washing the whole body in Friday for Friday prayer, it's recommended. And washing for the two Eids is virtuous. Uh, or we could say washing for Jumu'ah is preferable and washing for the Eid is recommended. And washing for somebody who converted Islam, it's obligatory because he is in a post of impurity. He is in a post of impurity. So he needs to have a bathroom so that he can pray, he can touch the Quran, he can do a lot of things. So let us see. These things, some of them we have took before in another lecture, but not all of you participated in all lectures. But anyway, so he says here, here we have several things. Now we have wudu. Wudu is ablution. Wudu is very important because it's it's a condition to pray. If you don't make wudu, which is ablution, which is to take off the minor impurity, therefore you can't pray because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم إلى الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. So he says, "O you who believe, if you stand to pray, wash your faces and hands to the ankles, right? And wipe your heads and legs to the elbows." Or this is elbows and those are ankles. I always confuse between them. So so this verse gives us the obligatory actions. What are the obligatory actions? They are washing the face and washing you wash your face and then you wash your hand until the elbow, the ankles, and then you wipe all of your head, and then you wash your leg to the ankles. So these are, what are these? These are the obligatory actions. What are the sunnah? What do you mean by sunnah? Sunnah is preferable actions that if you don't do, your ablution, your wudu is complete. But you have to do them because they are strongly recommended. And therefore, if you forget them, go back and do them again. But if you prayed, your prayer is accepted because you did what you have to do, but you left something that is recommended, actually. So therefore, what are the things that are recommended? He says rinsing the water in your mouth and sniffing it and taking it out of your nose and wiping your ears with your head. All these are sunnah according to the Maliki jurisprudence because it is not mentioned in the verse. It's not mentioned in the verse that I just mentioned right now. So there's a hadith although it's weak, where Darqutni uh, narrates by uh, that the Prophet ﷺ, by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, that the Prophet ﷺ said, rinsing and sniffing water is sunnah. But sunnah here, it's not always sunnah according to the fuqaha, to the scholars. It can be sunnah means it's our way. And there's a hadith that mentions things that are al-fitra, the nature, and from them we have rinsing and sniffing and stuff like that. So anyway, Malikis say it's not mentioned in the verse. So as long as it's not mentioned in the verse, and the verse shows us what to do, what to not do, what are the obligatory actions. Therefore, they consider it as sunnah, not faridah. Sunnah, not faridah. Okay. Okay. So after that, he mentions the siwak. Siwak is a word in general for anything that you brush your teeth with it. Now, in the Arabs used to brush their teeth by a wood stick that is cut from a tree called shajar al-arak. This type of trees, it's very beneficial. It has lots of interesting things that are very beneficial for the teeth, for your mouth, for everything. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ recommended us strongly to use the siwak and to brush our teeth with it. You can brush your teeth with anything that brushes the teeth anyway. It's not only the siwak or Oud al-Arak. But Oud al-Arak is something that is very easy and you have it with you always. You can just put it in your pocket actually. And we are asked to use this siwak every time after wudu and after prayer, and when you wake up from sleeping, and when you go to bed to sleep, and when you want to recite Quran, and when you start you keep silent a long time because that changes the mouth's smell. And if your mouth smell changes, all of these occasions, it's recommended to use the siwak in them. The Prophet ﷺ says, if I was to not make it tough on my ummah, I would have ordered them to use this teeth stick after before every prayer. This hadith is in the book of Imam Malik and the book of Bukhari and Muslim. And Ibn Abbas says that the Prophet ﷺ used to always use the siwak before praying. There's another hadith narrated by Imam Malik in his book and by other scholars that Ali radiallahu anhu said that the Prophet ﷺ said, if I was not to make it tough on my nation, I would have ordered them to use the siwak before every wudu. Before every wudu. So this means that the siwak is not obligatory. It's not obligatory, but it's recommended strongly. And there are lots of narrations ordering Muslims or asking Muslims to use this teeth brush. What about the toothstick that we use nowadays and all these things that we use nowadays? Is it considered as sunnah as well? Yes, it is. Because the idea is to brush your teeth. So you can brush it with this stick, al-Oud al-Arak, and you can always have with you your toothbrush and your all things that you put on it, this liquid and this stuff, and always use it in the morning and when you come to sleep, after eating, all these things, because you are asked to have your mouth always clean. Islam wants us to always be clean and brighting and shining, and that's why the wudu is derived from shining, brighting. And it's very bad when you see somebody with his teeth yellow like that, yellowish and stuff like that. Once the Prophet ﷺ entered, he found his companions with their teeth, with these, the clack, I think they call it clack or whatever. So he says, Mali arakum qulhan. Why do I see your teeth like that, yellow? Istaku, use the toothbrush. Use the teeth brush. So he ordered them to, and he said, Gabriel kept on, ما زال جبريل يوصيني بالسواك حتى خفت أن أدرد. Gabriel kept on يوصيني, that means he kept on advising me to use the siwak until I was afraid that my teeth will fall down. It's a type of exaggerating. I mean, you keep on using the teeth brush until your teeth fall down. Your teeth won't fall down, but it's only to express that he went so far and insisted on me to always use my siwak on my teeth. So therefore, it's very bad to find a Muslim with his teeth dirty, or with his mouth with the bad smell. That's not good, actually. Sometimes you pray and you find somebody besides you and you can't even, you want to close your nose. That's very bad, actually. Or somebody's speaking with you and you want to close your nose because you can't, the plaque, yeah, that's true. It's called in Arabic al-qalah. Al-qalah. Qalah is plaque. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Mari arakum qulhan, why do I see plaque on your teeth? Use the teeth brush. So therefore, this is very important, and this is one of the very important virtues. Now, there are other virtues about that. He didn't mention them here. He might mention them later, inshallah. He might mention them later, because this is full of beautiful things. Well, it's interesting, actually, to study this book. We're gonna pass on a lot of interesting things, actually. I'll tell you something very interesting. This chapter, one of the great Hanbali Imams, his name is Al-Sharif Abu Ja'far Al-Hashimi. Abu Ja'far Al-Hashimi. And he wrote a book in the Hanbali jurisprudence. And he started it with the same creed that was written by Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, and he ended it with the same book he just took as if he made a photocopy of it and put it in his book, subhanallah al-azim. And this shows how this book was important, that a Hanbali Imam in Baghdad, not even in Morocco, in Baghdad. Well, Hanbalis weren't in Morocco or North Africa, no. But actually this book went early to Baghdad, because the Qadi Abdul Wahhab made his commentary, and Qadi Abdul Wahhab is in the same, he was in the same days of Imam Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani rahimahullah. So, okay. Then it says, wiping on the leather socks is making things easy. Rukhsa. Rukhsa is to ease things. It's to ease things. Now, you are ordered to wash your legs. But if you wear the leather socks on your after making full wudu, you have the right to pass on them. You have the right to pass on them. You just wash your hands, and then with the right hand, you pass over your leg, and with the left hand, you pass under your leg. This is the Maliki point of view, or this is the Maliki ruling about passing on the leather socks. And they say that when you pass over it, that's obligatory. When you pass under it, that's only recommended. That's only recommended. So if you just pass over it, that's enough. And now, a lot of people ask about passing on the cloth socks, the normal socks that we wear. Malikis don't allow us to pass on that. Why? They say all of the narrations speak about leather socks, which are called khuf, not socks, which is called jawrab. But we can tell them that there are some narrations that speak about jawarib. There are some narrations that speak about jawarib. So, what are we going to do about that? They say, no, that is a leather socks, but it's leather from outside and cloth from inside, or vice versa. So they call them jawarib in that case, or else it's not. It's not only leather socks. It's not only cloth socks. Only Hanbalis, only Hanbalis agree about wiping on cloth socks, especially if they are thick, or else the thin socks, they don't agree about that. This is for the four Imams. But, there's a but there. Ibn Hazm and several Sahaba like Ali radiallahu anhu, like others, and like from the Tabi'een, several Ibn Ata, or Ata ibn Abi Rabah and others, and from the Imams Ibn Hazm and Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah and others say as if it is recommended or it's permissible to pass on a leather socks. Therefore, what is the difference between that and passing on cloth socks? And Shaykh Jamal ad-Din al-Qasimi rahimahullah, who passed in the year 1332, I think, 32, in Damascus. He was a very smart Shaykh. He passed away when he was 49 years old. But he wrote a lot of interesting books. He has a commentary on the Quran. It's called Mahasin al-Ta'wil. He has lots of interesting books. And he wrote a book called Al-Masah ala al-Jawrabain. It means wiping on the cloth socks. Normal socks. Socks that everybody wears. Now, if we stand with the madhab, the Maliki school, the majority of people in the world nowadays don't wear any more cloth leather socks. Except few religious people wear it just to imitate the Prophet ﷺ and imitate the Sahaba. Or else, most of us don't wear cloth leather socks. Unless you say that you're wearing a shoe that is that goes up to your all of your legs. It covers all of the legs and it covers your ankles. So what are you going to say about that? Yes, if it's a shoe, you're allowed to pass on it as long as you wore it after full ablution. Now, okay, not everybody wears those types of shoes now, actually. But let us speak about leather normal socks, because some scholars, Maliki scholars nowadays, they condemned Malikis and Shafi'is and Hanafis. They condemned wiping on these normal socks that all of us wear. And that makes things a bit difficult for people nowadays, because most people wear socks and wear shoes, and they go to their work, they go to a lot of things, and it's difficult for them to make their wudu, to take off all of their shoes. And you can imagine, for example, these soldiers or policemen or whatever who wear these long shoes until that cover all of their legs. It's very difficult for them to take off all that shoe. So what are these guys going to do? According to things that make things easy, because Islam came to ease the life, not to complicate it. So actually there are lots of narrations that supports the idea of passing over the leathers, the normal socks. And I asked my grandfather once, Imam Muhammad al-Muntasir Kattani rahimahullah, and he's one of the great Maliki scholars that used to give lectures in the two sacred masajid haram in Mecca and Medina. And I told him, are we allowed to pass over our socks? He said yes. And he had a sock. He was wearing a thin sock. So I told him, can I pass on socks like what you're wearing? He says, yes, you are allowed to do that. And there are narrations that support that if you go back to the book of Al-Imam Jamal ad-Din al-Qasimi rahimahullah. Um, no, say Malikis say when you pass on your leather socks, you can keep on passing on it forever until you take it off. They don't have these 3 days and stuff like that. Yes, Imam ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah mentioned hadith that you pass if you are residents, you pass only 24 hours. If you are in a journey, you're allowed to pass on it 3 days. And he supported this opinion, which is the opinion of the other imams, and it's strong. But the Malikis depended on a narration by the Prophet ﷺ, but it's not authentic. But they depended on another narration of Imam of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. He saw somebody, he saw Abu Ubaid ibn Jarrah or somebody else. He came from Sham, and when he was one of the leaders, the generals of the Islamic State. So when he welcomed him, he looked at his socks or his leather sock. He said, since what you were passing over those socks? He said about a week ago. He said asabta sunnah. That means you followed the sunnah. And this word is considered as a hadith according to the scholars. So the Malikis take this hadith. But the other scholars say no, the hadith is very clear. It says the one who is resident, he is allowed to pass on it 24 hours, a yawm wa layla, a day and a night. And for the one who is in a journey, he is allowed to pass on it 3 days. Okay? So therefore, are we allowed to pass on our leather socks? Yes. Are we allowed to pass on our shoes? Yes. Are we allowed to pass on our cloth socks? Yes. But all these have conditions. The first condition is that you have to wear it after a full wudu. Don't wash the first leg and then put on your socks and then wash the other leg and then put on no, until you finish everything and then wear your socks. One. Number two, it has to be pure. So don't use, for example, impure leather or impure cloth. Number three, it has to cover your whole leg with your knee, your ankles. So it has to cover all that. I always confuse between ankles and elbows. Actually, you understood what I want to say. So these are the conditions of wiping on these on whatever you put on your legs, So now, if you're wearing, for example, only a normal shoe that doesn't cover all of your leg, you're not allowed to wipe on it. Or you're wearing only a short socks, you're not allowed to wipe on it. So just pay attention to these conditions. And then he says, وَالْغُسْلُ مِنَ الْجَنَابَةِ وَدَمِ الْحَيْضِ وَالنِّفَاسِ فَرِيضًا. So full shower, washing the whole body from janaba. Janaba. What is janaba? Janaba, the word janaba means you go to jamb. That means jamb is being close to something and being far from something else. And what do they mean by this? They mean that you are in major impurity. How does major impurity appear? We spoke about that. It's in two cases. The first case is that you discharge semen. No matter you discharge it in a wet dream or you are awake, you meant to do it, masturbation actions or stuff like that, or you saw an exciting vision or whatever, or you heard something that excited you and you discharged semen. All these things, no matter if you're a male or a female, I'm speaking in a general way. because even females discharge semen actually. So you have to pay attention to that because some people think that all these things concern only male, not female. So if you discharge semen, you are in major impurity. Or if you intercourse your wife or she intercourses her husband's. And when I say intercourse, that means the head of the penis enters the vagina. If that didn't happen, you are still pure. If that happens, even if you don't discharge semen, you are impure now, and you have to have the whole ghusl. You have to wash the whole body. وَالدَّمِ الْحَيْضِ وَالنِّفَاسِ. Yes, when the woman is okay, this is something agreeable between all scholars. There is no conflicts about that. Now, purifying the woman has to purify herself when she finishes her menstruation period, and when she finishes her after birth blood period. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, verse number 6 from Surah Al-Ma'idah, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ جُنُبًا فَطَّهَّرُوا. And if you were in a major impurity, wash yourselves. The word فَطَّهَّرُوا means purify yourselves, but here it means washing the whole body. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu mentions that the Prophet ﷺ said, if he sits down between her four branches, it can be understood legs and hands, or it can be understood laps and legs. It could be understood in these two cases, in these two ways. And he made her tired. Therefore, he has to both of them. That means both of them have to wash their bodies. This is in the book of Bukhari and Muslim. There are lots of actual narrations about that. There are a lot of. There's an interesting here hadith. Sulaym radiallahu anha, the mother of Anas ibn Malik and the wife of Abu Talha al-Ansari, who is the stepfather of Anas ibn Malik, because Anas ibn Malik's father was killed un-Muslim before the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina. So he didn't agree about Islam, but his wife converted Islam before him, and he wasn't happy about that. So when he died, Abu Talha al-Ansari married her after the death of her husbands. So she came to the Prophet ﷺ and she said, Messenger of Allah, God doesn't be shied from truth. God doesn't be shied from truth. If a woman has a wet dream, does she have to wash her body? He says yes, if she sees the water. What is the water here? He means semen. That means if she discharges semen. So if the woman sees a wet dream, or a man sees a wet dream, and he wakes up and he doesn't find anything, and she doesn't find anything, no water, no semen, you're not supposed to make any bath. And if you see semen without remembering any dream, you have to have a bath. And if you see a dream and then you see semen in your trousers or on your body or on your clothes, therefore, in these two cases, you have to make a bath. You have to make a bath. Then he says, for the woman, if she finishes her period, you are not allowed to intercourse her, and she is not allowed to let her husband intercourse her until she has her bath. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْرَبُوهُنَّ حَتَّى يَطْهُرْنَ. And don't approach your wives until they become pure. فَإِذَا تَطَهَّرْنَ فَأْتُوهُنَّ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَمَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ. And when they have their bath, then approach them from the place that you are allowed to approach, which is the vagina, not the bottom. The bottom is haram. You're not allowed to approach your wife in her bottom, not from the bottom to the vagina. There is no shame to express these things and show it, because if we don't study these things here, no one is going to know them. So we have to study these things. Okay. Then he says, وَغَسْلُ الْعِيدَيْنِ مُسْتَحَبٌّ. غسل الجمعة للصلاة السنة. Yeah, having a bath and before going to Jumu'ah prayer for men, it's sunnah, it's recommended. And some scholars say it's obligatory, but actually the hadith, uh, this hadith that I'm going to mention right now, shows that it's recommended, it's not obligatory. The Prophet ﷺ says, "Man atal jumu'ata fatawadda'a fabiha wa na'imat." The one that goes to Jumu'ah prayers and makes ablution, that is a good thing. وَمَنْ اغْتَسَلَ فَالْغُسْلُ أَفْضَلُ. But if he has a bath, that will be better. This is so clear that it's sunnah, it's not obligatory. And the hadith is in Abu Dawood and Tirmidhi and Nasai. And then he says, washing in the two Eids is preferable, or mustahab means preferable. It's not strong sunnah, but it's preferable. Because Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma used to do that before going to Eid al-Fitr prayer, as Imam Malik mentioned in his book. And it is mentioned, it's narrated by Ali radiallahu anhu, the same. And lots of scholars said that. So there is a hadith that mentions that the Prophet ﷺ used to do that, but it's weak. The hadith is not authentic, it's weak. But if we say that it's weak, but it's supported by all of these narrations by these Sahaba and Tabi'een, that would be a good idea actually. The Prophet ﷺ once entered the masjid and he found a bad smell because people, they were wearing some cloth, some clothes that are from wool and stuff like that, and the weather was hot. So when they entered the masjid, they sweat, so it made a bad smell. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't like that, and he said to them, "O you Muslims, this day is made for you as a holiday, and so wash yourselves. And if any one of you has perfume, it's not a big problem to use that perfume, and use the siwak to clean yourself." So it's like it's a party. If we can say, it's a holiday that you have to wear for it, and prepare yourself in a very good way. You wash your whole body. You cut your hair. You make you clip your fingernails, and you make your tooth brush, and you perfume and stuff like that. And it's preferable for you to wear white clothes, and you go like angels in the masjid, like angels actually. Okay. Now, for the one that converted Islam, he never had this ghusl, so he's always in an impurity post. So he has to have this ghusl. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu says, when Thumamat ibn Uthal, who was a king in Central Arabia, came to Islam, to Medina, and then he converted Islam, he went to not a river, no, it's only a lake. It's a lake there, or a stream, or something like that. And he washed, and then he came back and he converted Islam. The Prophet ﷺ ordered them to go to there. He ordered them to take him to somebody's farm, and he said, order him to have ghusl. He's ordered to have ghusl, yes. And there are several narrations about that. Now, for washing, he says, وَالْغَسْلُ عَلَى مَنْ أَسْلَمَ وَغَسْلُ الْمَيِّتِ وَغُسْلُ الْمَيِّتِ سُنَّةٌ. He says here, it's recommended to wash the one who dies. Actually, it's not recommended. No, this is actually not the accepted opinion. No, the accepted opinion, it's fardu kifaya. That means you are asked to do it. The whole community is asked to do it. So if some do it and others don't do it, that's it. The idea is it has to be done. Um, and therefore, this is actually the most accepted opinion because the Prophet ﷺ ordered the Sahaba to wash his daughter when she passed away, and there are other scholars that there are other narrations that mention that any Muslim dies, always Muslims washed him, except the one who is killed in the battle. Any Muslim who is killed in the battle, so therefore uh, he's not asked to be washed. He's not supposed to be washed. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Let them bury them with their blood and their clothes, because they are going to come in the judgment day with the blood like saffron, and it smells like musk." I think this is enough for today. Thank you very much for being patient with me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.